I've seen some interesting things from my window. I live in a spacious second-floor flat in a converted factory, and the windows in my living room offer a decent view of the town centre. Directly below are twin car parks separated by a spear-top fence, one belonging to the apartment building and the other to a swanky little nightclub opposite. There's always something going on out there. Over the last year, I've watched from my window as a parade of drunken soldiers received a bollocking from their commanding officer after they were thrown out of the club, a wedding party that erupted into a near full-scale riot, and I've seen at least one car that was definitely a rocking when the doorman came a-knocking. Another time, a group of stargazers turned up in a silver minibus laden with telescopes, and my friend Tim even claimed he saw a UFO out there a few weeks later. And the police are regular visitors on a Friday and Saturday night. While most of these incidents involve one-time visitors, one presence remained constant: a white transit van. It always seemed to be there, day and night, come rain or shine. It was a company van, I could tell that much from the name on the side, a name I read and promptly forgot several times. It was always in pristine condition too, no mud or stains from traffic fumes, no humorous "I wish my wife was this dirty" messages scrawled crudely on the back. Its driver clearly took great pride in it. That was something that struck me as odd. I never saw the driver. I never saw the van leave, I never saw it come back, and I never saw anyone get in or out, or even approach it. I assumed the driver was a shift worker and probably slept during the day. Still, it sometimes seemed like he, and I assumed it was a he, was being deliberately secretive. I developed a minor obsession with that van, and was trying to spot its enigmatic owner. One Saturday night, I decided to stay in and see if I could spot the driver. I pulled my desk chair over to the window and sat leaning on the sill, my grandfather's binoculars beside me. I watched as cars pulled into the club car park, preening men and women on the pole exiting the vehicles and strutting their way inside, full of hopes and soon to be full of spirits. I saw many of them leave a couple of hours later as alone as they'd arrived, and I got a smug chuckle out of that. Gradually both car parks emptied, so that only the van remained. I waited for another hour, feeling increasingly stupid. Why did I care so much about who drove that damn van? Even if I did spot the driver, what would I do then? I'd probably just go to bed, feeling a damn sight sillier than the drunken idiots I'd been laughing at earlier. I pulled my chair away from the window, and to lighten my mood I turned the TV on and watched repeats of an old comedy show I liked. I fell asleep in my chair after a while, and woke up around 3:30. Out of curiosity, I decided to take one more look out the window before I went to bed. The van hadn't moved. I stopped trying to spot the driver after that, and for a long time I consciously avoided looking at that van at all. Summer gave way to autumn, which in turn yielded to winter, and Christmas and the New Year passed. Then late one January night, or I should say early one February morning, I got up to switch the TV off before I went to bed, and just happened to glance out the window and saw the van parked alone below, with the back doors wide open. Looking down from that angle, I couldn't see inside, but my interest was well and truly piqued. So rather than go to bed, I stood and watched, certain I was about to catch sight of the phantom driver. I might even discover exactly what he kept in there. 5 minutes passed with no sign of him, and I wondered what the hell he was doing. 5 more minutes went by, and I was getting fidgety. Then a thought occurred. What if I were to go down there and have a gander inside? It was a ridiculous thought, one I'd never imagined myself entertaining. I'm not a nosy person by nature, yet I developed such a fascination with that van. I debated with myself for a while, wondering whether I should, whether I dared, and just what the hell I'd say if the driver turned up. "Nice van you got there." Yeah, that'd work. Finally I decided, the hell with it. I had to know what was in that van. I grabbed the keys to my flat and left, locked the door behind me and headed for the lift. On the way down I almost lost my nerve, or came to my senses, both amount to the same thing, and I decided to press the button to go back to my floor when the lift stopped. Then it jolted to a halt, and I jumped off and went straight out the front door. The air was absolutely biting in the car park, and I wished I'd worn some thicker clothes. I was clad in a t-shirt, tracksuit bottoms and trainers, none of which did a damn thing to repel the winter chill. I hadn't bothered to put on a coat because I didn't want this golden opportunity to pass, and because I didn't intend to stay out there for too long. Rubbing my exposed arms and inhaling painfully cold air, I looked to my left and spotted the van about 30 feet away. The back doors were still open, and there was still no sign of the driver. The cab was empty, and a quick scan of the car park told me I was alone. The club had been locked up for the night, and the windows in my building were dark. I started walking towards the van, my nervous excitement going some way to negate the cold. But as I got closer, that excitement gave way to trepidation. It occurred to me that there was something very suspicious about this whole scenario. Where the hell was the driver? And why had he left the doors open? I really should have turned back then, and I wish I had. It was stupid going down there to begin with, and I knew that at the time, but it didn't stop me. I got this far, now I had to know. I walked around the door and stood facing the interior, feeling like Indiana Jones on the threshold of the Temple of Doom. Finally, after months of wondering, the truth was revealed as a mouldy old sofa and a couple of chairs. In a split second my anticipation deflated, and all sense of wonder was lost from the world. Just what the hell I expected to be in the van I don't know, but I'd be lying if I said this wasn't an anticlimax. I stood there for several seconds feeling like a monumental idiot. Then I noticed there was something else. Right at the back I could see something lying on the floor, obscured by the sofa. I squinted to try and make it out. And then my mouth fell open, and I felt a chill that came entirely from within. Poking out from between the sofa and chairs was a bloody human arm. At first I thought it was a toy, a joke, but even in the dull light I could tell it was real, and I realised this whole thing was a trap, and I'd walked right into it. I spun, readying myself to fend off the attack I knew was coming, but there was no one there. I had maybe half a second to register surprise. Then I began racing back to the apartment building, pulling my keys out of my tracksuit pocket as I went, and I almost ran through the glass door when I got there. I thrust the fob to the sensor, but it wouldn't work. Then I realised I was holding it backwards, so I corrected my mistake and yanked the door open, darted inside and pulled it closed behind me, and it resisted but finally clicked shut. I ran to the lift and pressed the open button, risking a quick look back at the door. There was no one outside, and the lift doors parted, and for one horrible instant I thought, oh God, he's in the lift. Then I saw it was empty. I dived in and pressed the button for the second floor, and when the lift stopped I sprinted straight back to my flat, key held ready, let myself in and locked the door behind me. Once I was inside, I felt the adrenaline drain out of my body, and I leaned against the wall as I caught my breath. That had been so close. I knew I had to do something. I had to call the police before the driver came back. Then I heard a door opening, somewhere in the hallway outside. It sounded like the door to the stairs. I heard footsteps, quiet and purposeful, and heading in the direction of my flat. And I told myself, it's probably just one of the other tenants. When the footsteps stopped, right outside my door, and the handle started to turn. My eyes bulged, and every muscle in my body became taut as I stared at the handle, unable to move, unable to blink. He was right outside. The door shifted forward perhaps a millimetre, and I realised he was leaning against it, trying to force his way in. I thought, he's going to do it. He's going to break it down, and then I won't stand a chance. Then I heard him take a step back, and the door handle released. I heard a gruff sigh that froze my heart, and at last those stealthy footsteps retreated back down the hallway. The stair doors opened, then closed again, and the hallway was silent. A few minutes later I heard the sound of an engine turning over outside, and I listened in the dark as the van drove away, its mysterious, murderous owner still unseen. I spent the rest of the night sitting by my front door, not daring to move. The next day I shoved a heavy chest into my hallway, which half killed me, and every night since then I've pushed that chest against the door, just in case. I sleep in my armchair facing the door now, a baseball bat I bought from a charity shop on my lap. I say sleep, but it's a rare night that I drop my guard long enough to get more than a couple of hours worth of shut-eye, and I never look out my window anymore. I haven't seen the van since, and haven't told anyone about that night. What could I say? I can't remember the company name on the side of the van, I have no idea what the registration number is, and I never saw the driver. It was just a generic white van. What was I supposed to say to the police? Excuse me, officer, but one of the hundreds of white van drivers in this town is a murderer. Which one? How the hell should I know? I could walk by the bastard in the street, and I wouldn't even know it. But he knows me, and he knows where I live. For that reason, I've decided to move. I found another flat, and it's maybe a tenth as nice as this one, but it's way over on the other side of town. Everything's arranged, and I'll be moving in a week. Still, I know I'll never truly feel safe again, and my conscience will never leave me alone. I'll have to suck it up and learn to live with the guilt, and try hard not to think of that night, and of the hand lying in the back of that van, its blood-stained fingers clawing feebly at the floor.